Hi, my name is Anthony with Preparation with Purpose. Today's Q&A session is talking about job search challenges. I'm going to answer a lot of popular questions that are constantly asked by job searchers, job seekers that are struggling um, to find a job. So let's get right into it. Um, why am I applying for dozens of jobs but not getting any interviews? So let's address one of the elephants in the room. A lot of times companies are posting jobs and they're not hiring. So if you go to job sites like Indeed, Career Builder, Simply Hired, um, Glassdoor, LinkedIn Jobs, a lot of the job sites, a lot of employers post jobs with the intent to keep a pipeline. Um, I agree the importance of having a pipeline in the event that a position comes available, but it is unfortunately misleading to actual job seekers that are really looking for the job and actually want to work there. So just be mindful of that. So that's why my strategy is that I often suggest is that you pick employers that are not posted, that are not posted on these major job boards. That you go to particular employers that in your area. So one of the things, okay, so just with me, I am a man of convenience. I don't like driving 30, 40, an hour away to go to work. I prefer my job to be 20, 30 minutes away. That's I prefer everything that I go to shop, go to church. I prefer everything. I'm a man of convenience. I want things to be in my immediate general vicinity. So I'm within a 20-minute radius. If you're within my 20-minute radius, you got me. You got me as a customer. But if you're outside of that, it's gonna be on my wife to say, "Hey, let's go out and go over here." And I'm like, let's go. Okay. But outside of that, my thing is be intentional with where you want to work. Like I said, one of the resources that I offer on my website, preparationwithpurpose.com, is a self-reflection checklist. With this self-reflection checklist, what it's intended to do is help you. It asks you all the questions that you should be asking prior to you applying to a job, such as how much pay do you need? When I say how much pay do you need to be looking at your household budget and knowing, hey, this is going to pay my mortgage, it's going to pay my rent, it's going to pay my car note, this is going to, I'm going to have food in my groceries in my pantry, I'm going to have my utilities paid, everything I need to do. My kids are going to have school clothes. They're going to have better to go on field trips. Like all my needs are going to be met, and I'm going to be able to still save and invest and have money as opposed to living paycheck to paycheck, robbing Peter to pay Paul. If you're robbing Peter to pay Paul and that's a job that you chose because you settled, that's not what I'm going to advise you to do. I want you to make sure that you're applying to the right jobs. And so going to circle back, that's why you're going to pick employees that you know that you want to work for. So again, the self-reflection checklist, what are you good at? What are your strengths? What are you good at? Where does your education lie? Now, a lot of times we go to college, get these degrees, and then we get out of college, graduate, and don't even use the degree. I'm not advocating for that. I want you to work where your God-given talents are. If you are a people person, maybe retail, maybe a public-facing job, maybe sales might be the way that you need to go. If you are introverted and don't like being with people, maybe more behind the office job that's behind the scenes where you're not working with a lot of people. You're not really working on a lot of teams. But we look at where your strengths are and not where your weaknesses are. Now we want to make sure that we're putting in positions where your weaknesses are not exposed. So we do look at that. But we want to make sure that you're applying to jobs that make sense and that these are jobs that you have to research. You have to do the due diligence. It's like companies buying companies. You have a due diligence period. So you have to make sure that you are doing your due diligence to research and make sure that this company is going to be what you need for advancement opportunities. If you know that you want to get a job that not only will you not just be in that same role for 10 years, that you're going to have opportunities for advance and be a leader or some other position, then that's got to be included in your process. If you know for a certainty that you got to have so many paid weeks of vacation, that you need to have medical, dental, vision, 401k, if you need to have stock options, if you need to have a company vehicle, whatever your demands are, you need to know that this company that you're going to apply for offers these benefits. If they don't, then why are we applying? We don't want to waste our time with that. So that's why I feel like a lot of people are applying to dozens of jobs, and not getting any interviews because they don't even qualify for these jobs. These jobs are not what they need to be applying to anyway. So that's where that one goes. And so hopefully that helps you. I know it's a long roundabout answer, but hopefully it hit the points that it needs to make. Apply to jobs that only you want to work for. The numbers game is not real. Don't apply to 20 jobs in a day, and of those 20, only 2 are actually jobs you want to work for. That's a waste of time. So don't do that. The next question: how can I figure out what type of job I'm really qualified for? Doing personality assessments. That is the best way to find out what your gifts are. And then utilizing AI. AI can help you streamline the process. So, what I mean by using AI: so once you do the personality assessments, plug in your strengths, what it's telling you that these are things you're good at, and ask AI, hey, with these skills that I have, these gifts, what are some jobs that would fit for these skill sets that I will be successful at, and see what it says. And then, okay, what are some companies, what are some employers that have these positions that I could make gainful employment? You can even say, hey, I'm looking to make between 70,000 and 90,000 annually. Which of these employers have these type of roles that I can do this? And it'll pull out the fonts. It'll give you the promptings of what those answers are. So make sure that you're making the most of use of your time when you're applying to these jobs. And also understanding what your strengths and weaknesses are. We want to gravitate where our strengths are and not where our weaknesses are exposed. So that's how we apply the jobs that we're qualified for. Because when you're naturally good at something, it comes out and you can speak, and it's like a hobby versus a job, and that's really where you want to work. You want to work something that you enjoy doing. All right, next question: what is the best way to stay motivated during a long job search? I kind of talked about this one in a prior video, but the best way to stay motivated is to set time deadlines. Set down deadlines so that way 30 days to 90 days, and you want to evaluate your process. So during the first 30 days, you have assignments, you have a task, you have a checklist of how many jobs you're applying for. So of those jobs that you researched and that you want to apply for that fit your needs, then you applying for those jobs. And then you have, 24 to 48 hours after you apply to them, you're following up. If you get, typically, when you apply to a job, you get that email saying, hey, thank you, we received your resume, blah, blah, blah. And hopefully there's a contact information on that and saying, hey, this is the recruiter. Or even when you apply or go to the website to view the job, it'll say, this is the recruiter, this is the contact information. And so you can kind of expedite your process by reaching out to them directly and expressing your interests. But there's a checklist that I have on my website that I can share with you, so that way you can stay organized through your job search and have timetables of where you're trying to check off certain things. And then it's about it's action steps of applying to jobs, it's action steps of following up with those said jobs that applied, and then following up with reaching out to recruiters if you're not getting any responses on LinkedIn, and then following up after we reach out to those recruiters on LinkedIn and see, hopefully that gives you some traction, and then just starting a process. And so then it's even expanding your job search with those jobs, finding additional competitors that may not have been identified initially, finding more competitors to expand your opportunities, and so applying to those. And then, so after 30 days of doing that and following up, if you're not getting any process, then we're going to look at reevaluating the resume process, making sure that the resume is highlighting relevant job skills that's highlighted in the job description, and not just listing bullet points from the job description, but making sure that our resume is highlighting accomplishments and achievements that we've done that shows that we're competent in these bullet points on the job description, that we're capable and competent to do the job, that not only we're competent to do the job, but we're going to be successful at doing the job. So those are the things that I would say to stay motivated during a long job search, is constantly staying on task with doing something, checking your results, checking your processes, and reevaluating. So if something needs to change, you tweak something instead of keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. So that's what one of the ways I would say stay motivated. The other thing too is stay connected. It takes a community to stay focused and engaged. If you're on an island and you're depressed and sad because the job search is not going your way, that's the worst thing you can do, is be alone and get depressed and get down on yourself. You got to stay motivated. You got to reward yourself for action steps. So you may say, well, money's tight and I can't do a whole lot, but okay, give yourself breaks. Give yourself breaks and give yourself opportunities to decompress and self reflect, reevaluate your processes. Um, Personal development, continue to build yourself up and learn something new, so that way that's something you can add to your resume, something that you can, another skill. Because if, say for example, if you're unemployed and it's been a long time between jobs and your job search, your employment gap is extending, um, having something to plug in that gap with of personal development goes a long way. So just constantly working towards something is going to help you stay motivated. The checkoffs is going to help you stay motivated because you're constantly checking off something on your to-do list. So that's rewarding in itself. So it's doing those things will help you stay motivated doing a long job search. Um, how do I deal with rejection or ghosting from employers? Unfortunately, this is a real thing. Where you apply to jobs, you interview, you go through so many interviews, and next thing you know, you don't hear anything else from these people. Unfortunately, you can't predict unprofessionalism. You can't predict just shadiness from employers. But what you can do is really do your due diligence with researching that employer. Because again, going to glassdoorjobs.com and looking at reviews of what the employees are saying or the employees are saying about the employer is important. Going on indeed.com, looking at their reviews for certain employers. But there are certain things that you can do to review to make sure that you understand the culture. Going on LinkedIn and seeing what the employees are saying about it, asking somebody that works there, hey, I just want to, I just applied to this job with your company, and I just want to know if you have a few minutes to tell me what are your take on it. What's the interview process like? But definitely doing your due diligence, being productive, is one of the things that's going to help you prevent those opportunities from being ghosted. So again, by you researching the company, make sure you understand the culture and all those type of things. That's going to help you prevent those opportunities of being ghosted and done wrong by employers. Because if you see that early on, you should not want to waste your time working with somebody that the culture's bad. All right, next question. How do I know if I should take a lower paying job just to get my foot in the door? No, 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 no. When I was younger and I was working in retail, and I used to always tell myself, well, I'll be a supervisor and I'll leave and go to another job. And I say, well, I can be an assistant supervisor and work my way back up to a supervisor. And like, it's no, you should not have to take a step back to take a step forward. And so once I got to that point where I'm only going to be hired as a store manager moving forward and higher than that moving forward, then that was just a mindset. Don't feel like you have to take a step back just to get your foot in the door. Guys, I haven't really said this on these videos, but I'm going to say it now that I'm a God-fearing man. I'm a disciple of Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. And I would say the importance of having a relationship with Christ is important in your job search, especially going back to about being rejected and ghosted, even about staying motivated. The community is the same thing as the body of Christ. The body of Christ, you're going to find people, like-minded people that's going to help and support and encourage you during your downtimes. And as you go through that, you're going to be able to be that for somebody else. And so I say all that to say that as you're including God in your process, that it's very important that you're including him, being prayerful in the process for him to lead you the way that you should go. Now, I know not everybody that's on this YouTube channel that watches this video is going to be a believer or a religious person or anything like that. And I hope I'm not offending you, but this is just my personal belief that I'm a believer of Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. And I do believe that by me putting my faith in him and talking to him on a regular basis, that he helps me order my steps. He helps me with wisdom that I wouldn't normally have had to do things that a little bit supernatural on my natural. I believe that he will lead me to doors that otherwise will be closed to me because he's opening that door for me. So those are the things I think about. And I haven't mentioned that in my other videos, but I think I'm going to be more about that in my future videos. So definitely don't sacrifice yourself. Trust God to lead you to the opportunities that are for you. Because a lot of times, if you are taking a lower paying job, I've said this before, you know what you need for your financials, for your finances. Know how much you need, that you have a range of knowing if that is not within your range, you should not be taking that job because it's only going to present hardships on you and you put yourself in that position. When you work with me at Preparation with Purpose, it's about putting you in the right position to go the right pathway. It's not about backtracking. It's not about starting over. It's none of that. It's about going where God has destined you to go and about walking in wisdom and stewardship of good things and continue to flourish and grow. So I know I'm kind of getting off topic here, but just God has got to be a part of your process. And going back to the first question, you applying a dozen jobs and not getting any interviews. Be prayerful about it. Ask God to lead you to the jobs that you should be applying for. Ask God to open the doors to prevent you with opportunities for interviews. But just be prayerful about it and be prayerful throughout the process. And I believe that that's going to change your mindset. It's going to shift something that's going to help you to really be blessed. All right, next question. What should I do if I don't have experience in a field I want to switch to? Think about transferable work experience, education that you have that may not have been used in other roles. So I mentioned before, some people get a college degree and never use that degree. This could be something where you're able to use the skills of things that you've learned with that degree and apply it to this field. The other thing I want to talk about is most people often overlook a college degree. A college degree is intended to show the employer that you have a foundation of learning, that you can be taught, and you're willing to pay for said experience. And so therefore you're willing to be paid for said experience of learning. So that's what a college degree is going to do for you. If you have that, great. If you don't have that, then work experience is going to be your way that you've been shown that you can be taught and learn new work experiences, and you can develop yourself and work on yourself with getting designations and certifications and things like that. So don't be afraid because you don't have the experience that you can't transfer relevant experience, work experience over to a new field. I hope that helps you. And most importantly, communicate that in your resume. So as you update your resume, make sure that you're putting transferable experience from said past work experiences to highlight that you are competent and capable of doing that job. So that's the other part of it. Next question. Is it better to apply directly on company websites or through job boards like Indeed or LinkedIn? My profession, I'm going to always tell you as your job coach, I'm always going to tell you apply directly on the company website. Some companies outsource their recruiting to third parties, temp agencies and things like that. But you'll be surprised. There are a few companies that use every avenue they can get because sometimes they may struggle finding the right people. But I suggest directly going to the company's website, because if you're looking at the website, they may list somebody that's a specific contact for you to reach out to. So at a minimum, you can have your foot in the door by talking to them and building a relationship with them, and therefore it drives the process forward at a quicker pace. Next question. How do I keep track of all my job applications without getting overwhelmed? This is a very, very, very important. Organization is very important. I highly suggest using a spreadsheet. If you're old school, nothing wrong with pen and paper, but you have to write down everything that you're doing. You track your dates where you apply to the jobs. You track the job title, the location of said job. Because, so for example, for me, back in my mid to late 20s, I worked in retail. I worked with a lot of shoe companies, and I used to try to get in with other, retailers, Best Buy, Circuit City, all these, Circuit City's closed. Yeah, that tells my age. But some of these other retailers at the time, and you have to be able to be organized with your process, because what ends up happening is for those people that tend to apply to a whole bunch of jobs and thinking, well, if I apply to 25 jobs today, then I know at least 10 are going to call me back. But of those 10 that's going to call you back, are those even jobs that you want? So that's what's really important. Is so when you're applying to jobs that you know that you've researched, you've vetted out, and that you want to work for, then keep track. So for example, like I'm here in Atlanta, and one of the major hospitals is WellStar. If you apply to a WellStar that's in what I would say Marietta, and then there's another one that's in Buckhead, and they all have similar positions, same departments same position that you're applying for, but you don't remember which location that you applied for. So now you got an interview coming up, and they're like, hey, we want you to come. Yeah, they're gonna send you the information, but then you're like, well, which one is it? Because a lot of times their recruiting may be centralized, and so they may recruit for different locations. And so now you like, oh, you got to be careful doing that, because a lot of times you may rule yourself out because they want somebody dedicated for one location. If you're saying, well, I'll apply to Marietta, and I'll apply to Stone Mountain, and I'll apply to Brookhaven, and I'll apply to Powder Springs and Austell and all these other areas, you want to apply to one location because your gifts are going to make room for you. So if you apply for the Marietta location, and then they say, well, we also have another location that may be closer to your location in Powder Springs. Would you be open to that? So that's what I mean is like, don't rule yourself out. Let them offer it to you or ask about it. So in your interview process, ask like, hey, I noticed on the website that there was a couple of different locations. Is it possible? Is it a possibility that if I don't get the one from Marietta, can I be chosen for another location? So ask those questions. But very important, keep track of your stuff. Keep track of who you talk to, when you talk to them, so that way you can set a timeline of. I always suggest following up with people that you contacted with or had contact from 24 to 48 hours. Like, hey, we spoke on Monday. Today's Wednesday. I just following up and let you know I'm really interested in this position. Any updates that you can provide me? I appreciate your time. Let me know at your earliest convenience. And that's it. And so that way they see that you're still eager to move forward with them. So that way they may be ahead of the schedule, but when they are on the schedule to get back to you, you're probably on the top of the list because you reached out. The person that shows the eagerness to want the job, the early bird gets a worm. That's no different. So be diligent with your tracking of your organization. And also, I will say this again, your job search. You do all this stuff and it's a long process and you get hired. Don't just start deleting your files and throwing away everything that you've done. Keep it, because this job search is going to be ground zero for future job searches in the future. So that way it's just a quick updating the resume, adding a few new skills, and boom, you're ready to go to apply for more jobs. You can even circle back to some of the contacts you've had, because again, if you're applying, say for example, you're a mechanical engineer. You apply to, say you're working for Nissan, and you're, on the line and you're doing stuff and you're in the design team and whatever. And next thing you know, Nissan's plant is laying off. And now you got to get back out there. So now you're a mechanical engineer. When you applied to Nissan, I hope that you applied to Toyota. I hope that you applied to Honda. I hope that you applied to Ford. I hope that you applied to GM. I hope you applied to most major manufacturers. So, hey, as you were going through the interview process, and I'm sure you interviewed with them too, that you have the information that you can circle back to, so that way it's not starting from scratch. You can circle back and like, hey, go to their website, make sure they're still viable, research them, make sure they're still offering what you need, and then go to the website, see what position they have open, and apply. And you have the contact information from the recruiters, interviewers that you've interviewed with, and you can circle back to them like, hey, I know it's been a while, just touching back. I'm back on the job market, seeing if there's anything that you guys have. I saw this posted on your website, and I would love to interview for it. Is that something that you're still responsible for hiring for this area? If not, can you connect me? But just that simple, keeping the pipeline going. Like I said on another video, actually on this video, about people being ghosted and you applying for a lot of jobs and they're not getting interviews or any responses because they're keeping a pipeline open. So that way, when they do have the need, they have a pool of candidates that they can pull from and start the interview process. So same thing with you, with your job search notes and organization. You have all your stuff, you have your pipeline still ready to work with you. So that way, when you go to transition to another job, you have everything that you need. So that's how you keep track of all your applications without getting overwhelmed. The next question is, should I apply to multiple positions at the same company? I already answered that question. No, you should not. Because what happens is you may be ruled out of a position because they may say the job that you want, they may say that you're better qualified for the job over here, and it's not the job that you wanted this one. And so because you apply to multiple jobs, they'll tell you to pick, but then because they're set on you for this role that you didn't want, now you kind of talking yourself out of it because you say, well, actually I want that one. They're like, well, we thought you'd be great for this one, so since you don't want it, we're going to look for somebody that wants to be in this role. And now you cost yourself both positions. So do not apply for the multiple positions at the same company. Keep it, pick one and go from there, but ask questions in the interview process, just like, hey, to the recruiter, like, hey, just if for example, if I'm not selected for this role, would it be possible for me to be considered for another role that may be similar? That's a great question to have at the interview process. Next question. How can I identify when a job posting might be fake or a scam? This is why I highly suggest going directly to the website, because you have these third parties. it's not going to end well for you. You have so many, like I get messages now. I'm not looking for a job. I get so-called recruiters sending me text messages, and then I'm in a group chat, a group thread. All of a sudden, and it's people are saying they're recruited for this job and thought I'd be a great fit. So much of our private information is floating on the web that we have no control over it. And so people are trying to, come across that they're a reputable recruiter, reputable employer, and they're not. You have to go directly to the website, to the company's website, to make sure that it's a legitimate offer. Go to LinkedIn, and again, I say that's why I highly suggest that you're vetting out the employers that you want to work for, because if you do that, you're not going to be falling for these fake job postings and scams out there. So I know this is great information. I hope that it blesses somebody. Again, my name is Anthony with Purpose with Purpose. I am your job career coach. I love to help with the job search process. I love helping align career goals with the pathway that you're looking to go on. I love to help you interview with confidence. I love to help you network with LinkedIn, other networking situations or networking events. I love to help you with your job search. So if any of this information was helpful, or you have additional questions of what I can do to help you with your job search, go to preparationwithpurpose.com. I offer free consultations. I love to help you. We'll have a free conversation to talk about how I can help you. If you feel like I can't, I offer affordable prices for some of my services. I offer free resources. There are other YouTube videos that I have that's available for you to watch that go in more detail in certain topics. I have ebooks that I offer, the Job Search 101 ebook that takes you from applicant to hired, because it takes you through every phase of the job search process for you do-it-yourselfers. So if you need just guidance that you don't really want to talk to somebody, you want to do it all yourself, you can download the ebook on my website. I believe it's currently $2.99. It's like maybe 40 pages, but great information to help you from every stage of the job search. It's basically giving you a lot of information that I'm saying for free on the YouTube videos. So you can watch the YouTube videos, but if you feel like you want to just stream, it's broken down into chapters. So there's certain chapters that you need. Just download the book, $2.99. It'll bless your life. It'll help you get hired quicker. But again, I hope you like this video. If you do, please like and subscribe. I'm going to continue to do more videos like this, or just question and answer sessions. So again, like, subscribe to the video. Until the next time, guys, take it easy.